Yes, welcome to the High Grade Radio Podcast with your hosts, Nick Harpson and Hayden Ranks. Yes, welcome to another episode of the High Grade Radio Podcast. Hayden, how you feeling tonight?
Once again, I'm doing very well. And you want to tell the audience why?
Yes, we have a very special guest with us tonight. We have Jay Shrub, y'all. Give it up,
guys.
Give it up. Yes,
I tell you what, I was getting down to that music in that intro, man. That was nice.
Nice, thank you. I made that myself.
Very nice.
It came quick, you know. It was, but
I was dancing.
Hell yeah, I appreciate that. I like it when the guests dance to the intro music. But, without further ado, Jay, why don't you introduce yourself and let the people know who you are and what you do?
So I'm Jay Shrub, and I'm one half of a band called Shrub. Myself and Blaine Dillinger. Probably get into that here in a little bit, but we're putting out a brand new album here shortly, and we play like hip hop, reggae, rock, pop. It's kind of a mix of all of it, really. I don't even know how to define it. You know, it keeps changing over time as well. But I'm a musician by night, and I'm a software developer by day.
Sick. That's what's up, man. Well, much love, props on all that stuff. Why don't we go to the beginning, and why don't you tell us what first got you into music and made you want to pick up a guitar, an instrument at all, and start doing it?
So, man, we're gonna take you way back now. I mean, when I was in high school, and I'm an old man. But when I was in, I'm way older than you think. Or I probably am exactly how old as you think. A lot of grays coming in. Man, when I was in high school, you know, I guess even before that, you know, I've always been super into music and performing too, both. And you know, growing up, you know, I always liked all that attention, right? Like I would dance around and moonwalk and you know, break dance and try to enter break dance competition and shit like that. And you know, I think in high school, my mom had a keyboard in the house because she plays piano and used to be a professional singer. So, you know, I was always just drawn to like just listening to her sing and play. And in high school, I'd just sit there when my parents weren't home and I'd play on this keyboard. And, you know, I was experimenting with drugs and smoking weed and tripping on different things. And I started playing around with this keyboard. And then I said, you know what? And we had like home phones back then, right? We didn't have cell phones. I would call my friends up and just leave the phone off the hook, just like laying there. And I'd play stuff on the keyboard and just start rapping. And I would rap like classic hip hop songs. I mean, like I'm going way back. I would do a lot of LL Cool J. I mean, who the fuck even knows LL Cool J right now, really? I mean, I don't know. Okay, sweet.
Ladies love, you know.
When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall, and in the back of my mind, I hear my conscience call. And I would just like rap to my friends, and they'd be like, "Oh, that's the shit, man!" And they'd be getting high, and I'd be getting high. And so like I just had fun with it at first, right? And then I went to college, I went to school, and I had a roommate who was in a band called the Big Creek, like the sound creek. And they would have me on stage all the time, and like I would rap with them, you know, I'd freestyle a lot. You know, I was doing a lot of rap. I wasn't really singing as much. Like my style is more like melodic hip hop, rap, singing-ish stuff. I don't even know what to call it, right? Like I half sing, half rap. Like that's just, I don't even know what to call that. But they started having me up, and we do like Biz Markie songs and Sublime tunes and whatever, or just freestyle, right? Over top of like Steppenwolf. I mean, it just didn't matter. Like we would just do whatever the fuck we wanted on stage. And they had a pretty big following, and they were, you know, touring a lot. So I got to get on stage, you know, 100, 150 times, let's say in college, and just get the taste of that. And then, you know, fast forward to, you know, I'd say probably 2005, I'm sitting in my basement every night playing video games, playing Call of Duty 2, and I'm just like killing it. And I'm like, I'm bored though. This is too much Call of Duty. I need to do something, right? I need to do something else. So I bought a computer, you know, I bought a Mac and got some software, this set of software called Project 5, which is like a cakewalk product. And I just started programming beats and playing with loops and getting mics and nice headphones. And I just started writing songs, right? And I started sending it to my friends, and they'd be like, "Oh, this shit's fire, man." And, you know, they're just my friends. If you listen to shit today, you don't want anything to do with this stuff. You know, it's so bad.
Yeah, but, it's good, dude. It's good.
I'm gonna put out an unreleased album too, of like unreleased tracks from 2005, and it is woo. I think in today's culture too, you can't say half the shit I was saying back then. Like girls would be, oh hell no, you can't say that. I'm like, all right, sorry. It's 2005. Sorry. But I started doing that, and I had the project at the time was called Just Jay for like 2 months, and then I didn't like that, so then I was like Rastatari. So I went with that for a while, and then it was
up. I like that, dude. I like that. I don't know why Rastatari.
That's the name of our record company, whatever that really means, right? Okay. It's Rastatari Records, but because it was like video games meet reggae, like that's really what it was, the sound. And they were all like, yeah, dude, you got to do something with this. So I decided to get a little more serious, and I divorced my wife at the time. I was like, you got to go. She's cool and all, but she got to go. And I divorced her, and I started a band called Shrub. And then here we are. 15 years later. Fuck.
That might be one of the best stories we've heard for an introduction to music.
Oh, there's so much more to it. You have no idea. Like, there's a whole thing about the Insane Clown Posse that I don't even want to get into right now that forged my entire life. You have no idea how the Insane Clown Posse changed the entire trajectory of my entire life. And that's a true thing.
Do you want to get into that, or is that going to?
I mean, if you want to, we can talk about it.
Get into it. What's up with it?
See, I don't like getting into this because people are going to be like, "Oh, what? ICP? Insane Clown Posse?"
You can leave it if you want. It's up to you.
Just know that everything I learned about the music business, right? I learned because I was in an inner circle with the Insane Clown Posse. So, like, I watched how they sold merch. I watched how they built a following. And then I built a website for them where they like built this huge following online before they were ever famous. I built something for them, like a chat room and a whole experience online. And they went from like having, 1,000 people online that were like, engaging them to like 60,000+ people. Yeah. And then they blew the fuck up. Right. Yeah. And and that really was what kind of got me into writing software, because before, at that time, the internet just came out. It was 1995. I was a freshman in college. So now you know my age. But, I was like building websites, and I ran into these guys, and I was like, man, I want to build a website. And they're like, yo, you want to build one for us? And I was like, sure, whatever that means. I don't even know what this means. And then, they had me and another guy like working together on some different pieces of the website. And before you know it, I'm watching them sell merch. I'm like, these guys are geniuses, right? Yeah. I mean, they're marketing geniuses. And so fast forward to today, I do owe a lot from just watching the inner workings of like an independent record company. And, it's not the music I listen to by any stretch, but, I was into Sublime and just starting to get into reggae music really right at that time as well. And, I was coming out of a hip hop world like Cypress Hill, Beastie Boys. I could go on and on, KRS-One. I could just keep going on and on what I was listening to. And then I discovered reggae, and then it's just the rest has been history. I can't even listen to much other kind of music anymore, like at least for 10 years or so. I'd say I was just pretty much in the reggae world. But anyway, that's the ICP story. And
no, that's
I didn't get into detail.
That's cool, man. No, that's a really good story though. And yeah, man, I mean, those guys, whether you respect their music or not, you can definitely agree that they are marketing geniuses. I mean, they got themselves from independent onto the WWE circuit and everything. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
Dude, yeah. So, I mean, to learn some stuff from them would definitely be valuable. And that's cool, man. So you're from the Midwest. You're in Ohio.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. We're both from the Midwest. I'm in California right now, but Hayden's in Iowa. And I got to say this real quick. We said it to Blaine. You probably heard it, but there was a guy out here in California. Everybody gets the states mixed up. They mixed up our states together. They call it Ohio. And Blaine said he's going to use that for like a song name or an album cover or something, man.
He will too. All his songs have really strange names. So Ohio.
Right.
We should all throw down on one.
That'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be really fun.
Yeah, but, people always mess up Ohio and Iowa all the time, man. And we're not really that similar in the sense of like we're not beside each other by any stretch.
No, we have a few states between and whatnot. And I know.
Hey, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just gonna say, no offense, but man, I'll tell you what. When I was in West Des Moines, and we played a show at some like old skating rink, it's in West Des Moines, it's some venue. I can't remember what it was called. man, I got some good stories about that place too. And West Des Moines is a fucked up place.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
Yes, it is. And I'm glad that you pointed out that it's West Des Moines. I'm not from Des
Yeah.
Moines, but we all know West Des Moines a little bit more, you know.
That place was scary but fun.
Sure, man. That's awesome. Well, yeah, man. I'm gonna get to the Midwest link and the Blaine link. You guys are now. It's just you and him. You had more people in the band originally.
Oh yeah.
But now we're here to you and Blaine. What's it like working with Blaine and having him be in California and you in the Midwest?
You know, I've worked with Blaine since the beginning of the band. He and I started Shrub together, so we've always had a really good working relationship and a lot of respect. You know, he saw a lot in me early on, and of course, I was just blessed to have him on the project. You know, like I was like, holy shit, this rock star of a dude. Even back then, you know, he was just like he is now, killing it.
Right.
And we've always worked together on the last 2 albums that we have, and then this new one. He's been a big part of all of them. But the thing that makes this one, you know, like you're saying, more unique than the others is working remotely. And you know, he's always been in Ohio, then he moves, right? And now he's in California. And it's been a different process. You know, I'm usually more hands-on in writing the music, working on the production side early on, at least the demoing side. In this case, you know, I just had to trust him, right? And how could I not? You know, you have Blaine Dillinger, you know, and the rest of the guys that are in his band right now, Hyrie, which is who he plays with. You know, people like Matt Benoit, who's the drummer. You know, Matt and Blaine really are the foundation of the music you're hearing on the new Shrub album. Those two guys, you know, Blaine's kind of like, let's call him the ringleader. And then Matt's just like the foundation of it, you know, and just really helping everyone get better at using the software, working remotely, mixing, you know, those initial demos. Matt's just a genius at that. So Blaine learned so much from him too. And then I would get a product and then I would write over top of maybe something that Blaine had worked on. Like there's a song called Shrub Love. Blaine sent me that beat and he's like, you need to write something over this. And I'm like, all right. But there's other tunes where I'm like, here's my idea. Here's my lyrics. Here's my melody. And, you know, I might sing it over another song and be like, hey, try to come up with something that's cool that goes with this. And he'd send it back. But, you know, it was a learning experience for sure. Like just getting comfortable, not being so hands-on and not being sort of the gatekeeper of the Shrub project and just trusting the people around me that they're going to do a great job. So it took a while for me to get comfortable with it. You know, I think that's what took so long too. We started this album like 2 years ago, to be honest.
Wow, yeah.
And I took like almost a year break where I didn't do shit. And part of that's because I'm lazy. And the other side is, you know, I'm just busy getting high and hanging out, working, you know, whatever I'm doing.
Right on, dude. I can relate.
Right?
I can relate.
But at the end of the day, you know, we really can work well together. And, you know, we're definitely going to keep pumping out new music after this too. And I think you're going to see a lot of like singles being released because it's just easier that way. Let's just work on a tune, get it done. And we'll keep bringing in all these awesome musicians, whether it be folks in Hyrie, whether it be like Mike DeGuzman from Pacifier, who's on a couple tunes on this album.
Yes.
You know, other vocalists that we've worked with, like Biebs, if you've heard of Biebs and her Moneymakers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think we're just going to keep doing that. Just keep bringing people in because a lot of the stuff I write too, it's like, yeah, I can kind of sing, I can rap, but I write a lot of stuff that's not for me. You know, I write it for a female vocalist or someone who's got a different register than me or a real vocalist, you know. And historically, that's been the case. And, you know, as a songwriter in the project, and I want to keep that going because I don't like just writing for myself because, you know, I'd rather have a nice dynamic of different vocalists on an album. And I do like still writing the lyrics, though, because I like to convey that message, you know, that I'm trying to convey.
Right on, dude. And let's get into it since we were kind of talking about it. You just released an album, and this is called Back to Earth. It's a great album. You gave us a little sneak peek before it dropped, and we got to listen to it. And I gotta say, I love it. It's got I love how every song on it is different too. It's got a different feel, which is really cool. And it's got a really good feeling though. The whole album all together. Like I could sit in the sun all day, put that on, have a couple beers, you know, smoke a joint, and I just have a great day listening to the song. It's just got a good feel behind it all together. And I really love it, man. I actually really enjoy this album, and props to you on that, man. It's brand new, guys. Like it just dropped. So go and get it. It's on all platforms, right? It's everywhere. You can
Absolutely.
you could have pre-ordered it. You know, you can't anymore. But
Yeah, you can't. It already
right.
came out Friday the 15th.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, man. Why don't you talk a little bit about it and a little bit more?
Yeah.
Actually, before I let you go, I'm sorry.
No worries.
That we were kind of talking about Mikey from Pacifier, and then you also was that Beebs on the second track as well singing, or who was that singing on the second track?
No, not on the second track. It's a girl named Jenny Flory.
That's
She's
right.
a local Columbus vocalist, singer songwriter that we've worked with on a couple other tunes before as well. And I actually met her in a Sublime cover band in like 1996. She was doing Saw Red with my old roommate, who I said I was on stage with all through college. He started a band after college, like a Sublime tribute band called The Reefers, and they really only had like 1 or 2 shows.
Uh,
And she joined up and did Saw Red, and I was doing Legalize It.
Sick.
And I was at rehearsal, and she comes in and she just killed it. And I was like, I think I'm in the wrong room. This is like a real musician. And you know, I met her then, and I've always kept in contact with her because I really do think she's a top talent here in this city. And you know, everybody here knows her, and I'm hoping that people outside of Columbus can start hearing her too.
So yeah, just to bring that up, I was gonna get to did you write those lyrics for her that she
I
sung that?
did.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Awesome.
You know, especially like when we're doing demos, I sing those parts, right?
Yeah.
So
That's what's up.
sometimes like I write them from a guy's perspective, just so it doesn't sound so weird when I'm singing it,
Yeah.
even though I know it's going to be a female's perspective later. So I have like 2 copies of the lyrics, but in this case I didn't. I just wrote it from the female perspective. And in the demo, I would send it out to different people and they'd be like, sounds like you're talking about, you know, like you're talking to yourself. Like, you know, you're singing how you love, you know, you're in love, you know, because the song's called Someday You Won't Look This Good, but it's actually a love song. But you're talking about like how you want to spend the rest of your life with this girl, but then you sing back to yourself. That's really strange. I was like, well, it's going to be a female vocalist. Come on, you know, come on, guys, bear with me. But yeah, I tend to do that a lot. You know, I like writing, like I said, for other people. And I really think maybe my biggest passion is just writing, you know, and performing, of course, but you know, I love it. And I love, like, when she came into the studio, she had already like learned all the lyrics. She'd already played a show with us too, and we did that song live.
Sick.
We played like 1 show actually in the last 3+ years. And she came on, Blaine and I and a couple like 3 other cats from here in Columbus, and she sang that song and just killed it and learned it like in a day too. And I was like, when we record that in the studio, will you do it? Then will you be the vocalist for that song? She's like, absolutely. She came in, didn't need the lyrics in front of her, just destroyed it and said, okay, see ya. And that was it. Like, she came in, killed it, and left. I was like, that's a pro.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, man, before I rudely interrupted you to talk about that track, let's get back into the album, man. I mean, you kind of talked about the process with Blaine and them, whatnot, but just, yeah, you got anything more you want to tell the people about this album?
Yeah. So again, it's called Back to Earth. It's the first album that the Shrub Project or the Shrub Band, whatever you want to call us, because it changes over time, but it's the first album we put out in over 6 years.
Right on.
You know, we had an album called Senorita, which is like our first EP, and then an album called High Ceratops came in 2013 and or 14 maybe. And you know, super proud of both those albums, but at the same time, you know, the evolution of Shrub has changed, right? Like you alluded to earlier, you know, it used to be like a full band, used to tour heavily. But you know, people come and go, right? And there's even a song on the new album called Left Behind, which, you know, is really at the end of the day exactly about you know, being in a band and losing people close to you and really your best friends, you know, or your family, or it's like being in a relationship, you know.
Yeah,
you're dating 7 dudes or however many people we're in at any given time, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right, we're breaking up, you know, or maybe you need to break up with them because they steal thousands of dollars from your daughter's piggy bank. True story. But but at the end of the day, really it's about being in a relationship, and it's tough being left behind, right? And that's the theme of that song. And I think this album kind of, if you listen to it, you know, it's a little more dark. It's darker than the last album, and there's a reason behind that. You know, it's a feeling of isolation. Maybe everyone can relate to that right now, considering what's going on in the world. But there's a feeling of isolation when you work so hard with a team and then all of a sudden it all falls apart and you're kind of left by yourself, you know. And even having Blaine all the way in California, I'm still here by myself in my studio working on music, or I'm just not in a band anymore working with other musicians. And I think the album kind of shows that off a little bit, in the sense that you're hearing a lot more electronic sounds from Matt, because he's programming drums, things like that. But you're also hearing me and the state of my life that I'm in, and the way that I've kind of landed, you know, back to earth. You know, it's like, yeah, I was gone. I was out in space by myself in isolation, and I'm coming back now, you know. And you can look at that like it's a hiatus and I'm coming back, but you can also look at it like I've been alone for a while, and this is a result of being alone out in space, so to speak, you know. And I think you hear that throughout the album. You hear just a little bit, it you know, it's not like, I don't want to call it a downer, because there's some upbeat type stuff on it, but certainly at the end of the day, you can look at it and say, yeah, this guy's been going through some shit, you know. And I think you're going to hear that. And as far as recording it, you know, we recorded, like you said, mostly in California, and then all the vocals and all the mixing occurred here in Columbus with myself and a few other cats that I work with, like, you know, engineer, producer types. One being this guy, BJ Davis, who's amazing. He did our last 2 records. He and I mixed the album, and then it was mastered, and the vocals were tracked with a guy named Danny Calb, who's got like Ben Harper credits and Beck credits and The Elevators and The Movement and Hyree's albums. I mean, I could go on and on. He's legit as fuck, and he's a great dude. So, you know, I spent that time doing that here, and I think because we brought in these new people, right, you're hearing a different sound. And you know, I hope people can embrace that too, and evolve with us.
Right on, man. Well, I really dig it, and I've heard your guys' previous album, and I'll say I'm one who's evolving with you. I like the new sound, especially, you know, knowing the story too. It's and you saying, you know, a little darker, but I think you can tell that you had some stuff to get off your chest, like you said, but more people are going to relate to you because of that and whatnot. You know, you just pouring yourself out there. I think you're going to get a lot back from that too. And I dig it, and I appreciate it. When I was listening to it, I could relate to some of those lines for sure, especially right now. And I think it's great overall, dude. And
Thanks,
I think you did a great job. But,
appreciate that.
For sure. But why don't we get into a track off of the album, and we're gonna play the first track on it, and this one is called Shrub Love. It's by Shrub, and it goes like this.
You can't hang, say I refuse. I take you all back through the roots. I was a young pup, fortunate youth. So what's the hold up? What's the ballyhoo? Maybe I was stupid, maybe I was slightly. Figured I could stick through the low and the high. Remind me I should jet west, head out on the highway. One unified tribe, doing it our way. Time to start the movement, time to spark the green. Start the revolution, wipe the slate clean. In this iration, we choose the station. Ours eastly to DC, higher education. We'll attack like a giant panda, go gonzo, and broadcast that on your state radio. Armed with some pepper spray, citizen patrol. Cope with it when the red empire so I'ma pacify, signal through your mind. About to catch a fire, about to feel sublime. No sign of John Brown, Trevor check the hallway. Scotty don't worry, and seedless like always. I grew a 10-foot ganja plant, put it in my tree house. Yeah, I smoke flower, driving 880 south. So roll my window down, came my bong is cashed out. Time to head for the hill, kid, and leave them no doubt. Shrub, love, everybody needs some, everybody needs some. Shrub, love. I'm running late for the 311, short bus to Long Beach. I'm a catastrophe, dirty heads and stank feet. First stop was Pasadena, scored me some black seeds. Michael Jackson bad seeds, tomorrow I'ma plant these. Setting records, higher skunk, Cali buds, light it up. Never been whiskey drunk, but I love bumping some ugly. Drop shop, get it tad, reggae on my silverback. Do it for the pain, do it for that Never be expendables, we be ineffable. Cali rules, fire, sun, brand new Kingston. For the record, this is law. Echo movements of your paw. Roots of creation, be our foundation. We about to so thrive, elevator so high. Drive a panel joyride, go and ask my boy Mike. Love, spread the dove, spread the shrub, never ease up. Be a common king without a crown, thick as thieves blood. We can be the supervillains, roots of a new rebellion. Stick figure drawing lessons, six-figure drawing pensions. Sticky fingers from the resin, music powered tunnel vision. Fly the red, gold, green, these are Jay's boogies.